Oh my God, we are back with yet another edition of Grindhouse Chic. As always, I am Robert Schneider, and with me today is Matt Armstrong. And unfortunately, Brian Baldwin is sick and too weak to make today's recording. Matt, you're also sick, but you have the strength of whoever Jason Momoa's character was in Game of Thrones to make it here today. And I myself am recovering from strep throat, which I did not know that I had last week when we recorded. But thankfully, we are all in different parts of the world where you guys did not get anything from me unless I was able to transmute it through the internet, which would have been a spectacle in and of itself.
I think you can do it.
I don't think it's scientifically possible. But if it was a vinegar syndrome, grindhouse, exploitation, sex film review show, comedy show, whatever this is, would be the way to do it.
It would.
Yeah.
It spreads through sleaze.
That'd be a great band name. Spread through sleaze. And man, when I was sick, I watched a ton of movies this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was pretty much in shock, but I watched a lot of things. I'll get to a few of them. But before we do that, I want to talk about something you brought up in our last episode, that you are leading the Vinegar Syndrome Challenge 2023 slipcover edition on Letterboxd.
Yes.
And I could not sleep at all on Thursday night, so I was looking through it. And there are a few things I disagree with you on there, because one, I'm not ordering any of these partner label movies, and two, they're not streaming anywhere.
Uh yeah, I guess that's an issue.
So,
Although I did look up a bunch of them, and there's quite a few on YouTube actually.
well, maybe you should put a link in there, because, like, I'm based on the length of the movies from Connie, I am not buying any of them, and more or less on their descriptions.
Um Connie, you seem like a Cain and Abel kind of guy.
I am not. How long is that
Well,
movie? What's the running time? Like 3 hours? 2 hours?
Cain and Abel, 112 minutes.
All right, that one's doable, but I'm still not ordering it.
Um, so yeah, I guess that could be an issue. I mean, I guess for you, I could just put it on um Plex, but that leaves all the millions of other people doing this challenge, which no one has sent me their list yet. So
What do you mean their list?
usually if someone is partaking in the challenge, they'll post their list in the comments.
Their list
Um,
of what they're going to watch?
yeah, to go along with the prompts. Yeah, so they'll put theirs down there, and then everyone's kind of kept as a participant um, up in the description there. And no one is
I was just gonna wing it. Like, I have no idea what I would watch.
You could do that. You can kind of just add them as you go. Just put like everyone's got to watch Roadhouse, so you can just put Roadhouse in there, and then
Now,
just save your list.
does it have to be in order?
No,
Okay.
you can watch them in any order you want.
Okay. All right. You'll get the Connie and the other the Decalogue stuff up online, so I can choose which ones to watch
Yeah,
for that. Cool. Then I'm cool with it.
yeah. I tried to. I don't know. I was really going back and forth. I tried to include all of the partner labels, but it kind of left. There's so many now that it kind of left me with not a lot of like clever little Vinegar Syndrome prompts. So I don't know.
Now, for Umbrella, is it only the stuff they release through the partner label, or can you watch any Umbrella film that you own?
I would say any.
Okay.
I think I just might have just listed to it on there. I just tried to list to anything on the site, but yeah, anything.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm going to buy any of the Umbrella US stuff because it's the re-releases of other stuff that interests me more than movies like The Undead.
Yeah. Yeah, and they've got a lot of stuff too, so
Yep, including
should
the re-release of the Hong Kong Category 3 man with small dick gets a dick transplant with a horse film called Sex and Zen.
I have not heard that.
It's a classic. The
I
original Sex and Zen, not the remakes of it.
It's an actual horse dick.
That's what he got, is a horse dick. Yeah,
I
yeah.
got another I got another movie pretty recently that the plot sounds pretty similar. I want to say it might be called like Percy.
Never heard of it.
um let me see here. Yeah, 1971. It says Edwin is emasculated in an accident which kills a young philanderer. Doctors successfully replace his member with that of the dead man, but refuse to tell him the full story of the organ's origin.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah. All right.
Would you watch this week?
So I finally watched from Massacre Video. I watched Hard Gore,
Okay.
which might be the most one of the most interesting adult movies I have ever seen. It is about a woman who's a nymphomaniac whose husband puts her in a mental institution, or they call it a sanitarium, which turned out to be a satanic coven.
Okay.
Um, when this one guy is ramming this woman from behind who's in a guillotine, she gets decapitated, which I think is the most interesting version of head I've ever seen in an adult film. It actually wasn't bad. I just wish there were some extras on here, like interviews or some sort of backstory to give more context to the film, because it was a horror film, it was a porno, and it was very interesting, and not much has been written on it.
Hmm. Is this the 1976 one?
Yes.
Okay.
A movie like this could only have been made during America's bicentennial. It also stars a guy named John Seaman, which, funny enough, was his real name. I did some research on him. There was an article written about him in Esquire, I think Esquire, from his nephew, who found out he was a porn star. It was never really hidden from the family, and then went out to LA to talk to them about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he did it to meet women, try to get
Nice.
married. Yeah. Then I watched two of the Doris Wishman films from the first set, Nude on the Moon and Blaze Star Goes Nudist. Man, those movies barely got a 1 star from me.
So that should cover your Doris Wishman prompt.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it through all the movies on those sets, so I don't feel like I got ripped off. Then I watched the Jess Franco Cries of Pleasure. It should have been called Moans of Pleasure.
Ooh, okay.
Then I watched from the now defunct label Garage House, Ninja Busters, which I hope somebody re-releases because this movie is really good. Then I watched Blue Money because I was very excited to see that one get the $10 treatment. And here's my review of it. A movie about the porn industry from some people who produced, wrote, and directed porn movies should have been a good movie. Instead of telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, they made a boring film burdened with an even more boring a film burdened with an even more boring story. While there were flashes of brilliance, it's not enough to save this movie.
Okay.
And then I watched one that was on the 5 Years, 5 Films, and it was called Murder on the Emerald Seas. And it's written from the guy who co-wrote Porky's 2 the Next Day, and the movie Popcorn. And basically it's a cop who goes undercover in drag for a beauty contest on a boat where contestants from the previous years have been murdered. My review on Letterboxd for this reads: just like Miss Congeniality, but with more cross-dressing, John DeSanti, Henny Youngman, delicious puns, and zero Sandra Bullock, which makes it this a way better film.
Nice.
And if you don't know who John DeSanti is, he was the star of the movie King, Bleep, and Frat, where he played the rip-off John Belushi character Gross Out.
I'm not familiar with that one.
It's a movie that somebody needs to release, and there are versions out there, but they're full. You can watch it on YouTube too, just basically full screen, ripped from the VHS, and it's bad. Guess what the name of the university they go to is?
I do not know.
Yellow Stream.
Oh.
Then I watched The Dungeon Master, which and then I watched She Said on Peacock, which was pretty interesting. The Flying Acquaintances from Vinegar Syndrome, which I got 1 star. The Executioner Part 2. Then I rewatched Mind, Body, and Soul, which we'll talk about later. And then Beyond the Door and Mad Doctor of Blood Island.
Yeah, you were pretty busy.
Yeah, sitting on the couch watching movies.
Yeah. Did you already end up watching The Menu?
I saw that in the theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just watched that last night, finally.
It's a good movie. Not a horror film, as the trailer would lead you to believe.
Yeah. I was gonna ask what you thought about the very end when the Anya Taylor-Joy was eating her burger on the boat after all was said and done.
I probably would have done the same thing.
Did you get the hint that, I could be alone, but did you get the hint that something was wrong with the burger?
No, not at all.
Oh, it kind of seemed like she took a bite. They had some like weird look on her face and they kind of zoomed in, and then she real quick took another bite, and I was like, did they poison the burger?
No, not at all. Not at all. She was the only character. She was the only character there in the movie who deserved to live.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a great movie. I don't know if I'll ever need to watch it again, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely good for a watch.
Yeah, and I thought everyone was really good in it.
Yeah, but it, like you said, definitely one of the more misleading trailers.
And I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's our natural instinct to think it was a horror film, especially when that trailer came out. It was right before Halloween, which made me question why this movie wasn't coming out until November.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a fun film. As we record this, we are a day out from subscriber week. How do you feel?
I mean, I guess it was like a pretty fun little thing. It was exciting to see what was going to be released every day. I think kind of the excitement of it was probably better than what was actually revealed for the most part for me. But I don't know. I think it was a cool little thing. The only thing that I still have an issue with was that they did this right after the Black Friday sale when I bought a ton of the $10 titles already.
I think a lot of people are upset about that.
Yeah, but it's how it goes, I guess.
I bought 2 of the $10 titles. I bought Assholes because I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I thought for $10 I would take a gamble. And then I bought Champagne for Breakfast because I watched a movie on one of the 5-year 5 films, a non-porno directed by that director, and I wanted to see what a better film of his looked like.
I'm excited to see what you think about Assholes.
I'm probably gonna be disturbed by it.
Yeah, I had a couple buddies over. And we watched it. Another one where the trailer was pretty misleading. So
I've never seen the trailer. I've never
Okay.
seen the trailer. The description just didn't really interest me at the $20+ price point.
Yeah.
But let's go to a second and talk about. I'll talk about the subscription last. what did you feel about the VSA announcements, the VSL announcements, and the merchandise and Picorama announcement? What was the one you're most excited about, and what is the one you're least excited about?
Um, I guess in that group, I would say probably most excited would be one of the two VSLs, just because it's such a different thing. I guess I didn't really know what to expect that this label was going to be, but if they're keeping it with super old stuff, then I think I'm good with that. Um, so I guess either one of those two. Um, the merch I was kind of disappointed with. The poster was pretty cool looking, but I already have so many posters and no walls to put them on, so I didn't even bother there. Um, Picorama, I know nothing about, which is usually the case, but that one looks pretty interesting. Looks like an old like Star Trek kind of spooky
Okay,
kind of thing.
we're going to talk about that one in a minute.
And then I guess for the VSAs, um, again, never heard of either of them. But I did see a lot of people were pretty upset about the undeclared war one, just kind of saying that like everyone's getting confused about what actually makes a VSA because they just released a Ringo Lamb in the regular Vinegar Syndrome lineup, and then now they're releasing one in VSA and making you pay for it, and it's everyone's saying like this title doesn't
Yeah, that
invoke that like.
I find that to be bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Because there have been directors that have been in regular Vinegar Syndrome movies and also have had VSAs in the past.
Yeah,
Case in point, the director we're going to talk about today, whose name I've already forgotten. I apologize, Rick. I know it's Rick something.
Sloane.
Rick Sloane,
Yep.
who had Blood Theater, Hobgoblins released from Vinegar Syndrome, the Vice Academy trilogy released from VSA, and then the one
Mm-hmm.
Mind, Body, and Soul, which was released from Culture Shock. So
Yeah.
I don't care if a director was on one label and then on another.
Yeah.
That makes no fucking difference to me.
The other thing was they were saying they don't feel like this title invokes the like, which I think the same thing could be said for Ten Bundy. It doesn't invoke the like, feeling of walking into your mom and pop video store and seeing this on the shelf, which could have been, I don't know,
You
but
know what? That's where I saw Ted Bundy.
really, isn't that
So
pretty
I
new?
did rent it on DVD.
I thought this was from like 2 years ago or something, wasn't it?
No, it's from like 2002.
Oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, it's yeah. The other one, no, but you know what other movies I never saw at my video store? I never saw Santo versus Dr. Death.
Yeah.
I never saw the one with the monkey, which I really like. I can't remember the name of it. Unmasking the Idol. Never saw that on a video store shelf.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people I think people are just arguing over spilt milk because it's not something traditional. So I have no problem with the VSAs.
Yeah.
I have no problem with the VSLs. I'm really excited about Flesh and Fantasy. That one looks really sweet.
Mm-hmm.
The other one, I will admit, I was on the fence about ordering, but I made a commitment to order both of them to see what the line was going to be like. And it might be the first Vinegar Syndrome line where I don't order everything from it.
Yeah, that's kind of what it seems like. Kind of just I guess it depends if they stick with this same era. Um, I mean, I'm kind of into them, but at the same time, it is, I think, a lot more risky than like the VSA. Mostly 80s, 90s stuff that I pretty much like all of.
In 2000s now, we've now entered the
Yeah, in the
2000s.
2000s.
Um, the one I'm most disappointed is the Picorama. I have seen this movie before, and I will tell you, I saw the softcore version that I picked up from Severin many years ago, and thought it was a really boring film.
Mm.
Much like Thriller, the hardcore was just inserts that were shot later.
Oh, really? Okay.
This could have been just a regular Vinegar Syndrome movie. I firmly believe the Picorama stuff needs to be true hardcore films. And much like Thriller, A Cruel Picture, this doesn't count as one, or Phantasm and Phantasm Rides Again. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because they've been talking about this one for a while, but I think they need to really re-examine what the line is and the kind of movies they are putting into it, because Beast in Space, in my opinion, doesn't qualify.
Right. Yeah, and it kind of seems like, I don't know, from all the posts I was seeing, that was a big talking point, was just people are just getting confused of what they're putting in these sub labels, and saying they don't match what they originally were intended to, and they think it's just, trying to get more money for something that you have to pay for that's not included. And I don't know.
That I don't know either, but
I just looked up Beast in Space on Letterboxd, and it does not come up as an adult title.
no, because much like Thriller, there were inserts added to it. But look, I don't know. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt because I know next month we are getting some more adult releases, which, from what I understand, the 4K is that one of our friends deduced because of a fluke in the website. It's Baby Rosemary and Hot Lunch, which are both really good. Actually, I'd rephrase it. I have not seen Hot Lunch. So Baby Rosemary is worth the price of admission in and of itself.
Okay.
Too bad I just watched that a couple weeks ago.
That's somehow in my watch list already.
What? So how do you feel about the subscription this year?
Pretty good. It's the first time I actually subscribed.
Did you do the deluxe subscription?
No, which I'm sure I'm gonna complain about the first shipment I get, but
well, I've already emailed Evie and said, hey, here's my money. Just I didn't read it. I did not read all that far down.
Yeah.
You don't make changes like that. You should put a big sign, Robert. There is a bonus shipping opportunity. You'll complain about it now, but save money in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it was what, $100 extra?
Yeah, which is worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I got a $100 gift certificate for my birthday. And I just was happy that my cost was going to be a little lower, and I didn't want to just have that certificate just go to shipping. So I was like, I'm just going to do the regular one. I'm sure in a week or two when they ship out, I'll be the first to complain. But
no, this is the first year I'm happy I subscribed, but because I've had the whole week to look at it, there were days that I have had buyer's remorse. Like, I'll be
just
happy
based on what's coming out, or
not based on, because I think there's gonna be a lot of good things coming out this year, but it's I'm used to I am used to having all my stuff, buying it in November and being okay with that. And then it's just in the first year of it, it's like, all right, my I've just spent all this money.
yeah.
So hey, I'm gonna put us on pause for 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, as I was saying though, it's like I had all this time to think about it, and depending on what was announced from the label, that's determined the day if I felt remorseful or not, or the day Severin announced their new box set. I was like, fuck, I would love to order that, but I cannot.
You can do the Severin always allows that like pay in 4 option.
You know what? I've blown my budget for the month.
Yeah.
I hope Vinegar Syndrome does not do subscriber week again, even though I know they will.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it at least seems like the 10 for 10 was just for this year, so which you only bought two titles, so it didn't really matter. But
Yeah, it did though,
yeah,
because
I think I bought like 20, unfortunately.
what did you buy?
um, I got the 11th Commandment. I realized I didn't have yet. Um, the Naughty Victorians was apparently like a secret $10 title.
Okay.
Um, there were a bunch of DVDs that were marked down. I got this double feature with Judy and the Night Hustlers was $8.99.
Okay.
Ode to Nothing, which is Connie, the Leather Boys, Star Virgin and Game Show models, Blood on Her Name, The Monster of Camp Sunshine, and Honeymoon of Terror. Oh, I thought I saw movement. I thought Brian was coming in. Love After Death, The Fear, The Place Beyond Shame, and Blue Money. Last Gasp, two lottery tickets, Minor Premise, and that's it. So maybe not 20, maybe like 12, 15.
Yeah, still more than me. Look, I'm glad that people were able to get some good stuff on the 10 for 10, like the Grave, which I'm happy sold out, and I'm happy people bought it, and TC 2000, which, first of all, I didn't realize that Billy Blank's movies could sell out. I
Yeah.
was shocked that 16 Samurai did not make the $10 cut.
Yeah. Is that one's a VSU, right?
Yeah, it's also the worst selling VSU in the history of their of movies on that sub label.
Hmm. I wonder what that's sitting at. There
Probably,
were what are these usually like 5,000 or 7,000?
I think 9,000, maybe.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't keep track of it like our friend Brian or on the Vinegar Cinder Group Sean Sullivan.
Yeah.
I consider them the number guys.
What about the out of print ones? Do you make it in time for any of those?
I had them all.
No. I like couldn't get in when it first went live, so I didn't know if there were any good ones that sold out right away or
The only one I was hoping for was the Runaway Nightmare, or
hmm,
the portfolio of Jekyll and Hyde, because I don't have those two
okay.
on Blu-ray, and I've seen them both. It's not, they're not great. Though I think I would have freaked out if I saw the Executioner Part 2 on there. I think there are 550 of us who are lucky enough to have that on Blu-ray, and I call us the real fans.
So Runaway Nightmare it was on Blu-ray, you said?
Yep, it was a very limited
Oh,
Blu-ray.
okay. Huh.
Yeah, there were initial Blu-rays that were just very limited. Runaway Nightmare, um, the Jekyll and Hyde portfolio, Executioner Part 2, Sex World first pressing, and Pretty Peaches first pressing.
Hmm. Okay.
I think they were still deciding if Blu-ray was a way to go. I that I don't know, because
Yeah.
there were very few Blu-rays from them in the beginning. Well, yeah, it's not
Hmm.
true, because the first thing they released was Lost Films of Herschel Gordon Lewis,
Yeah, true.
and that was a Blu-ray. I don't know, but what are you most excited about as subscriber beside the 10 years, 10 films?
That but um I think I mentioned it before. I'm excited to see if there is actually a Rikio 4K. Um, Man, I thought I had saved the screenshot of what was coming every month. I don't think I did. Um, I can't think. There was one other one on there that sounded interesting, but I can't think of what it was. What about you?
The 10 years, 10 films, I'm going to predict this right now, that there will also be a second 10 years, 10 films released the same month from Picorama,
Okay.
because otherwise it'll be I think it'll be 10 films from their exploitation horror line, and then 10 films at an additional cost for Peakorama.
Okay.
Because they are not going to mix the two.
So what was it the last time? There were four
There were,
Blu-rays total, right?
the first two came out in January of 2018, and Golden Age of Erotica, and then Horror and Exploitation. So
Okay.
volume 1 was porn, volume 2 was horror exploitation. Volume 3 was porn, that came out like a few months later, along with volume 4, which was horror and exploitation.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that would be cool. You think you would pay for the extra 10 set?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I would, because for me, that's what got me interested in Vinegar Syndrome was the classic erotica. Because again, but back then, those movies were more well known than most of the horror films that they were releasing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they weren't releasing the cast off from Shout Factory or Scream Factory. They were releasing the shit that barely anyone else, except for maybe something weird, would put out.
Mm-hmm.
And now I think Beast in Space will be the second or third Severin release they've put out in the last year, with the
Yeah.
first being Ursula's sister, which was on Giallo 4 or 5.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm really interested to see what ends up on there, because I think last time they were all just upgrades of DVDs, but I saw some thing posted from like an insider saying that these are going to all be films that Vinegar Syndrome has never released before.
I
So
find that to be bullshit.
yeah, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I don't know.
Because here's the one thing that made those films a worthwhile venture. Now, here was the thing that's cool about it, and because I lost my job in 2017 and got one like right after the Black Friday sale, so I could not order any of the subscription. I went halfway that year. Was if you were a subscriber, you got the 5-year 5 films included in your subscription as a bonus.
Mm.
Same thing with the New Year's movie, Happy New Year. What we talked about on the show at one point. That was also a bonus film.
Bloody New Year,
Yeah, that subscribers got.
our one live watch along that got taken down immediately.
Because we committed some copyright infraction.
For rebels over here.
Yeah, yeah, but no, I know I'm very excited about the subscription. I mean, I guess it'll become tangible when I get my order, and that's the other thing, because when I buy it, when I had to buy it in November, and you got your Black Friday thing, all of a sudden it became tangible. All of a sudden it's like, you know what, I got the shit I paid for.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, either way, I'm happy with the purchase. It is like a big chunk of change, but I haven't had any remorse yet.
Well, here's the thing: if you go by the MSRP, it pays for itself by May.
Mm-hmm.
The first 5 months of the year you pay for, and then the second 5 months it's free movies basically.
Right. And I mean, yeah, you could go in and just only buy stuff at sales, but you're not going to get that extra stuff. So
Well, also, if you just go and buy stuff at sales, there's no guarantee that these movies will be waiting for you there.
yeah.
Now, to be fair, Vinegar Syndrome has not really sold out a lot of stuff from the last year, except for the deluxe thriller set.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. I was listening to my good buddy Master Chaos, and he was talking about the resale value of Vinegar Syndrome films that have have been on the decline.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, they print more of them. When they print more, the demand for those aren't going to be there.
Yeah.
But if you have the early stuff with the slips, or the early stuff that is no longer in print, there's still going to be a demand for that on
Yeah.
the aftermarket, and that will only go up.
Have you ever thought about selling any of your anything from your collection once you saw what it was selling for?
No, no.
So I never have either, but then I started seeing this thing, and it's not even a movie, but if you purchase the like big bundle of the Child's Play movies from Scream Factory, you got this like little burned up this little burned up Chucky doll. I don't know if it'll even show up there.
That's cool.
No, but yeah, there were only a certain amount of them, and they're selling on eBay for like 150 bucks, and
Okay.
you got it for $6 with the bundle. So I'm like, man,
And imagine how much that'll be in 20 years.
yeah. I'm like, do I just want to sell this, or I don't have any room to put any figures, but I like just having it, you know.
I was looking through a box the other day because I still, because of the size of my movie room, I still have a lot of stuff boxed up, and I was looking for a title. And I found my copy of the No Shame DVD of the night Evelyn came out of the grave and the Red Queen kills 7 times. And not the movie, I know what the movie is, but the box it came in came with a figurine of the Red Queen. I am like, there are probably not that many of these out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we think that DVDs are worthless. They're not going to be, because eventually there is going to be a lot less of those flying around. And some of the really, really cool things that companies did back in the day, like figurines or masks, or like the Italian version of From Dusk Till Dawn, came with the titty twister, and the castle that was behind it, the Aztecian ruins.
Uh-huh.
That's the stuff people are going to be wanting.
Yep.
It's just ridiculous. So I finally saw that thing you were telling me about, the red letter media for Nuki,
Mm-hmm.
which I have never seen, and I don't want to see it. It sounds
Yeah.
familiar. It looks like a horrible film, but how
Nuki.
but how they are trying to, how they were talking about how these movies, these VHS movies, are valuable, like Top Gun, or Back to the Future, which sold for a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: people will want them.
Yeah.
At some point, there will be a 25-year-old Vinegar Syndrome fan who's like, you know what? I really wish I had Drop Dead Delilah with the slipcover, which I never got because I didn't start collecting till way too late.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to pay $5,000 for it.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that I find weird about those like VHS grading things is like, they're usually all sealed. You don't have any idea like what the actual VHS tape is like inside. Like don't they like pretty much degrade 100%?
I have no idea. I mean, who's to say what the discs are going to be like
Yeah.
50 years from now? I mean, we're we're going to probably start getting some serious cases of disc rot.
Mm-hmm.
I think someone was telling me, do all laser discs even play now, or do they just get moldy over time?
Yeah, I don't know. I've never owned a laser disc.
Me neither. When I could afford one, I decided not to buy one because it's still, I had to flip it over. It's like, why? I stopped collecting records stupidly because I was sick of flipping stuff over.
Yeah. Yeah, I always thought laser discs were cool, and then I started looking at players, and they were like $900, and just like, no, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what? We'll spend $400, $500 on a good player for our discs.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Before we get into talking about mind, body, and soul, because I have a lot to talk about on that one. How are your spending habits going to change this year?
Um, I probably won't do a ton with other labels now that I got the subscription. I feel better knowing that I won't have to spend money on Vinegar Syndrome all year. even though I already spent it. Figure that one out. So I mean, I'll probably pick up a partner label here and there. But I think overall, I think it's just going to be stuff that I have either been waiting a while for or just stuff that looks really cool. I think that Error 4444 label, I'll probably still get their stuff, but they release like one or two a year, so I think it's just going to be stuff that I really really want. I'm not going to just get it just to get it.
Yeah, that's how I was last year, and I think I'm gonna get even more like it this year.
Yeah.
Um, I think the only label that I will probably buy besides Vinegar Syndrome on a regular basis is going to be Cauldron.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because they don't release stuff every month. It's every like 3 months they'll have a product out there,
Right.
which makes it affordable. Unless it's something I really don't want, because like there was some stuff they released this past last year that just looked terrible to me, and like Seder, I think that's what it was called. I just didn't need to buy it. But so far, their first three releases of 2023 look like bangers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think I have two in my cart from them, though. The two that were posting that they were going out of print. That Shanghai Joe you were talking about, and then I think Contraband was the other.
Not going out of print, the limited edition one's going to be
Yeah,
gone.
yeah, the limited edition. Yeah, so if those are still there, I might grab those. But
Did you get City of the Living Dead?
I did. Yep.
You're the one of the lucky ones.
That was expensive for the special the special pre-order price.
What are you talking about? It was expensive. Why would you say it's expensive?
It was $50, right?
Yeah, it was $50, but
Yeah.
I mean,
What's it
look
gonna
at.
be? What's it gonna be outside of that?
All right, not you're never going to see this version again because it won't have everything. Like this one has the 4K audio commentary from Sam Dayton, or Deegan, audio archival from Troy Horworth and Nathaniel Thompson, archival with Katrina Bacall, the actress, moderated by Jay Slater, an archival with actor Giovanni Lombardo Radice, moderated by Caleb Waddell. Then on the disc 2, the Blu-ray, all right, that's basically all the same things. Disc 3, 5 hours of new and archival extras, which looks amazing. A soundtrack, and then additional limited edition extras: reversible Blu-ray wrap with alternate artwork, sticker sheet featuring illustrations by Johnny Ryan, double-sided poster featuring new and vintage artwork, high-quality slipcase with emboss and gloss effects, spine number 11, artwork by Robert Samlin, limited to 3,000 copies. There will be a standard edition to follow, which will probably just be disc 1 and 2.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess out of all that, I mean, I'm never gonna listen to the soundtrack, I don't think. So I probably could have done without that, and maybe they cut like $10 off.
You know what? I don't mind it. It just makes it something a little more special.
Yeah.
I look for $55 for that. I don't. Again, I don't mind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good movie. It's better than the release that um Blue Underground was it, yeah, Blue Underground put out back in the day. It's better than the shit release that Dark Force put out in their drive-in Gates of Hell or whatever they called it version, the way it was meant to be seen, not cleaned up,
Mm-hmm.
rough. I I think Scorpion did a version of it. Yeah, this one's gonna blow them all away, and I've just been very happy with what Cauldron has been putting out.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to look into them some more.
Oh,
Um, I know that I'll probably hit up like the Criterion sales. I do that every year, even though I say I'm not going to. So there's more spending.
I haven't been that excited about a Criterion announcement yet this year. I mean, I'll pick up Inland Empire, even that movie confounds and confuses me.
Mm-hmm.
but there's so much other shit out there. And
Yeah.
again, I have nothing to worry about Criterion because unless they announce it's going out of print,
Right.
it's not, it's going to be there. And mostly for the same thing with Arrow. Like, I don't know if I need the booklet of all their films in there
Yeah.
because I can't tell you the last time I read a booklet that came with one of my movies.
Yeah. That's true. I don't think I ever have.
That's because we don't know how to read. Oh man, speaking of reading, Mind, Body, and Soul from Culture Shock. Rick Sloane's fourth or fifth movie with the talented Ginger Lynn Allen. Filmed simultaneously with Vice Academy 3, which is why they shared some sets in there.
Those sets.
Oh man, let me read the description of this movie. And Matt, in editing, can you put a picture of the case or the poster in the video? Yes, you can.
I can do that.
So Mind, Body, and Soul from Culture Shock Releasing, their last good release of last year. 1982. All Brenda wants is a normal life with a normal boyfriend, but she soon finds that her boyfriend is anything but normal. He's part of a satanic cult that makes human sacrifices. A police interrupted ritual at the cult's demonic temple lands Brenda in jail. Upon release, she has to pick up the pieces of her shattered life with the help of a protective lawyer, a hardened detective, and her old cellmate. But the cult hasn't forgotten Brenda, and they will stop at nothing to silence her forever, ever, ever.
That is that from IMDb?
That is from Vinegar Syndrome's website.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that one is way better than what's on Letterboxd.
But what does the letterbox one say?
It's one sentence. It says a young girl innocently attends a satanic coven's rituals and is thrown in jail where she is beaten, abused, and raped. And that's it. which would lead which would lead you to believe that like this is gonna be like some kind of like girls in prison movie kind of, it just takes place only in there.
All right, I have a lot to say, but I want to start out the first scene. We see Ginger Lynn and her boyfriend Carl in the Hollywood Hills talking about how much they love each other. It's their 90-day anniversary
Yeah.
because that's how long to know that you can fall in love in LA. He is wearing all black on what looks like a hot day in the Hollywood Hills.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes, "Hey, we're going out tonight to meet some of my friends." How has she not met any of his friends in those 90 days?
That's what I was saying. First, they're like, we find out that they live together already, and they're the kind of couple who celebrates monthly anniversaries. You would think that they would have meet at least one friend.
I was thinking they meet the quarterly anniversaries, but and Carl just seemed like a dick on the hill.
Yeah.
Then he takes her to the coven meeting. Everyone wearing black, their leader masked. And look, this is going to be a spoiler right here. There's no way you couldn't tell that wasn't Wings Hauser right there. And worst of all, they left the front door open.
Yeah, that one of the sets that was reused? Was that like
No, I don't think that was in Vice Academy 3.
I haven't seen those yet, so I don't know, but that was just a weird set. Like an open, I don't even think there was a door on that opening, but
It was
then
it was it
outside
was,
of it,
it was a
it's
house in a neighborhood.
yeah, outside of the door, there's just like a huge basement wall
and
and a palm tree.
and how come when she walked in there, she didn't notice that she was the only one wearing white,
Yeah.
except for the woman who was held captive?
Mm-hmm. Or the huge pentagram and blood on the wall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the chants they had were terrible.
Yeah.
Oh. It almost made me wish that someone went into the future and watched Wolf of Wall Street and just used that chant instead.
Yeah.
Um,
This opening scene was definitely like a good picture of what was going to be coming in this movie, just from the acting. I think when they brought the the sacrifice out, Ginger Lynn was just like, "Oh my god."
you know what? She could have left because
Yeah.
the door was open. But she must have been getting some good dick from Carl because she didn't want to leave.
Apparently.
Then the cops come in. You know what? How the cops would not have been able to come in if the door was closed. And the coven flees because their great mysterious leader uses a smoke bomb,
Oh yeah.
and Carl doesn't take Brenda, leaving her to be arrested because the victim recognizes her from being there.
Yep.
Then we meet Detective Mackenzie. I'm just gonna say this right now. Detective Mackenzie looked like he is always going through a divorce. I mean, he reminded me of an actor, like he's in a lot of like a supporting actor in bad comedy movies, but he was just Jay, played by Jay Richardson. He was just he was a dick, but
Yeah.
a dick with a heart of gold.
Yeah. I like how they kept making him smoke right in front of the smoking kills sign, like every single scene he was in.
Well, you know what else kills? Always going through a divorce and having to pay alimony on a cop's salary. So here, I do enjoy Rick Sloane movies, but it's obvious he does not do any research on prison or
Yeah.
the legal system. Um, Gingerland did they could have held her. They really had no proof with her being there, and even if she was there, she did not commit any crime. Well, that's not true. She committed a crime being an accessory or witness to murder,
Hmm.
but she was not a member of the coven. And that's where we learn that Carl wasn't Carl's real name and she knew nothing about him.
Hmm.
And then she meets her cellmate, who was also in Vice Academy 1. I believe she played a hooker.
Hmm. Okay.
And then she gets bailed out by her lawyer, played by the great Wings Hauser, who also offers to let her stay at his place.
Totally normal. Totally normal behavior.
And while she's staying there, somehow Carl figures out where she's staying and is able to easily enter the premise. Says, now, I am not a great detective. I am no Encyclopedia Brown. I am no Sherlock Holmes. I am no Veronica Mars. But when Carl comes there and says, I've heard you're planning on doing this by revealing names, one, the only name she knows is Carl, which isn't even her real name. Oh, I should say, how the fuck did Carl survive the explosion of the apartment by
Yeah.
lighting it on fire?
Well, it was just stock footage, so it clearly didn't happen with him in there.
um, yeah, yeah.
another thing where you're talking about Rick Sloane has done no research into like the prison system. The scene where the security guard just releases her from prison.
Yeah, not even a cop.
Yeah. And then he gets called in by the detective and he's just like, oh, I really wish you wouldn't have done that. Like, oh, that was pretty easy.
What kind of security guard works at a prison? You have to be a CO. You have to go through training.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's also easy for security guards to rape in prison.
Yep.
You know, usually they would have a female CO. Not that I'm an expert on prison, and and I am only an expert because I've watched episodes of Orange is the New Black, and a guy that I worked with on commercials played a an evil CO on Orange is the New Black, and hosted a game show either on TBS or TNT. I can't remember. But that's
Was
either
it
here nor there. That's what makes me an expert on prison.
was
And I
it
saw
Porn
Shawshank
Stash?
Redemption.
Was it Porn Stash?
No. He was the one in the riot,
Okay.
not Porn Stash. Porn Stash has a real career.
Ouch.
This guy did Napa commercials. Really funny guy though. Really nice guy. Um, but no, the security guard shouldn't have even been there in the first place. Now, be fair, she wasn't in prison. She was in jail. And she wasn't even in jail. She was in lockup. To be in jail, you have to... She was
Well,
just in lockup because it was still in the police station.
there was the scene later where they were being chased by the security guard. And when she looks behind him, she sees him in the car and she goes, I actually wrote it down because it was such a terrible line. She goes, it's that son of a bitch from prison.
Again, not in prison. Well, there is a line later in the film where she tells Wings Hauser tells she has to go see her parole officer, which was just the detective.
Yeah.
She wasn't convicted of any crime. She was in lockup.
Yeah, Rick Sloane clearly did not think this through.
Well, in the interview with Ginger Lynn on the disc, she said she has never driven a semi truck before. But if she did, she could have driven through all the holes in the plot.
I started to watch that, but turned it off after like 5 minutes. But the first like minute of her talking, I was like, geez, I did not know any of that stuff.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know much about her, but she said like during the time she was filming this, she was like in a serious relationship with like Charlie Sheen, and
Yeah, that's why she was in Young Guns too.
and she was
She was arrested and convicted for tax evasion.
yeah, she was in prison and she wouldn't testify against Tory.
No, testify against the porn producers, knowing that Tracy Lords may have that. I'm sorry, she was definitely that Tracy Lords was definitely underage when she made all but one movie.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know any of that stuff, but I was like, geez, this was a she said this was like a tumultuous time in her career, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it was because she was making one bad movie after another. But let's go back to the plot. Yeah. Wings Hauser was having her write down a list of all the people in the coven. Again, it's not like she knew any of them.
Yeah.
Then she gets called to be on a talk show, which Wings Hauser thinks is a bad idea. Oh, yeah, and her cellmate moves in from lockup, not prison.
So speaking of Wings, his name was John Stockton. Do you think they just named him after the basketball player?
I have no idea. Speaking of Wings Hauser, do you know his son is a famous actor as well?
No.
Not only is his son on the hit show that I've never seen, Yellowstone, he was also in Good Will Hunting as one of Ben Affleck's friends. and he played Benny, the drunk baseball player in the Richard Linklater classic Dazed and Confused.
Hmm.
Coles
What's his
Hauser, yeah, yeah.
Cole?
Cole Hauser or Coles Hauser.
Oh, I see. Okay, I
He
see.
was also in
Oh yeah, I do know that guy.
yeah, Wings Hauser's
Huh.
more famous but not infamous actor.
Pitch Black is where I recognize him from.
He's like, you know what? I'm going to make movies, but I'm not going to be like my dad.
Yeah.
I am not going to be a running joke on a podcast one day. But Coles Hauser, you are going to be a running joke on this podcast. If that's what
Yeah.
gets us more viewers.
That's
No,
interesting. I did not know that.
yeah. I learned that when I was reading his Wings Hauser's Wikipedia entry. But so, all right. So she goes on a talk. So she meets another mystic on there who calls her a betrayer. Um, I have really no idea what that whole sequence was about. It really added nothing except she got to meet her new boyfriend, who was also the only male student in the first Vice Academy movie. And later on, he went on to produce shows like be a producer for shows like Last Comic Standing and other reality shows. So he's doing just fine. He made it out of the Rick Sloane universe okay.
So were they just filming the Vice Academy movies and they were like, you know what? I think we could probably fit one more movie in. We're doing this.
No,
Is it just all the
this movie was made after the first Vice Academy film, like a
okay.
couple years.
Okay.
But I think he was just again because this was the heyday of the video market. They were just churning out content that could be put on
Mm-hmm.
shelves and then eventually played on cable.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't matter. This like there was. I'm guessing there was this film was one or two drafts, and they filmed it within a 2 week time period.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, you can tell how quickly a movie is filmed by how many locations they don't have.
I was looking. I remembered in that interview she said it would eventually be known as Mind, Body, and Soul. I was looking for a different name, but I don't see one here. I didn't know if that would explain anything else in the story.
No. All right, all right. We are forgetting that she did have a psychic link with the satanic coven, and probably one of the greatest lines ever was when the leader goes, "Oh, we need to do a much better job of maybe do some research, some background checks on the people we bring in here with us." Carl.
So do you think that maybe not? I was gonna say, do you think that Carl was like actually in love with her, um, and wanted her to be involved in this, or do you think that there was some other, more devious plan for her? Because I mean, once the police busted the place, um, and
Brenda.
Brenda found out that that wasn't who Carl actually was. Like she had a reason to, you know, lose feelings for Carl, but Carl was just like all of a sudden just wanted to murder her. So it's like, did you really love her, or was there something else?
I think this was something that needed to be in the script.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were members of the coven, and I think this would have made a much more interesting movie. That there were members of the coven who whose job it was to lure women to become the sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would have been a more interesting film if Brenda was the sacrifice that got away
Yeah.
and they were chasing after her.
Yeah, because with the original sacrifice, she just said that some guys like put a bag over her head walking down the street or something, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been much better if there was more to it, like some kind of meaning into who they chose.
And then it could have been that I thought the whole plot about her being in jail was kind of wonky, and they only used that because they had the jail sets. I think it would have been more interesting if she was on the run. Police were helping her. Wings Hauser was the cop that was there to protect her. And they were using and he just would have been more typical of the investigation for him to say, let's figure out what you know, let's walk back through every step. But he wasn't doing that to be altruistic. He was doing that to help cover the Coven's tracks.
Yeah.
But I think, again, it's like we use what we have, and we have these sets, so let's try to backtrack our way into a plot while this plot didn't necessarily work.
Yep.
But that said, all right. So she's on the talk show. Betrayer. John doesn't want her to be on there. She reveals that she was called for by the cops to see a body, which again I don't think is police protocol either. Yeah. But I guess Detective McKenzie was going through yet another divorce, and this was his way of hitting on Brenda.
Yeah.
See a decapitated body, which we learned from the vision that she had when their leader was going, "We got to do a better job." Killed the victim. Bam. On the talk show, we also learned that the detective told the security guard where she was going to be that day, which leads to the worst car chase in cinematic history. Oh yeah, Brenda then meets a production assistant who offers her a ride home, who's played by the male Vice Academy student in his only appearance in that film in Vice Academy 1. I talked about that. They go on a car chase. She realizes she has powers where she uses the amulet to make him fall off the bridge. Now, the security guard was not a good multitasker at all because he could shoot and drive at the same time. And then they go back to her place and they have sex. Oh yeah, and her friend is living there now.
Yep.
Then she goes to see the mystic, drinks some tea, and I can't remember what the mystic said to her because I got a phone call and did not pause at that point.
About the tea?
After the tea, when she was going through her rigmarole.
So, well, before that, the mystic took a little swig of something out of a flask, and she said, "What's that for?" And she just said, "Keeps me regular."
Prune juice.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she just said nothing's gonna happen because she doesn't believe that amulet would only help her if she actually believes. That kind of random thing that they kept saying throughout the whole thing.
Yep. So really added nothing to the plot.
Yeah.
Then we hit the home stretch. Carl breaks into the house. He kills the roommate. He kills her friend from prison because he thought it was Brenda. I think Carl might have been an idiot.
Yeah.
Then the production assistant comes over. They get into a fight. He kills Carl. Yay, production assistant. Brenda comes home. She sends Carl away. She's going to call the cops. John comes back. But while that's happening, the cops have figured out that John is the leader of the coven because they are doing some crack police work. And I love this scene because the only other two members of the police department are with the captain at that point and are doing some of the worst improving ever.
Yeah.
Especially with the guy flipping through the notebook and jotting stuff down.
What was that book they were reading?
I don't know. I don't remember where that came from.
Yeah, was like, it looked like some super old book, and then out of nowhere they were just like, "Oh, a list of all the members, and look who's at the top of the list." Like, where did this come from? And this book is like 1,000 years old, and it's just got these names of this guy down the road in it.
It's probably just the guest registry where they put everyone's name in there that they sign in. So they go there. Oh, find out she's gone. Then the PA guy comes back and tells them everything. And then the cops don't believe him. He goes to the old house, and we find out that she did not believe in the evil, but she believed in the PA,
Yeah.
which means the power of love and fire is what ended this movie.
Yeah. I just remembered something about when the girl went to see the mystic. There was more to it. The mystic called some demon or something.
Yes. The demon that appeared behind her.
Yeah. So yeah, I do remember that. And it was another use of the line where the prison mate just saw this demon head appear behind her and she was just like, "Oh my god." So yeah, and then it pretty much just said you don't believe in us, so we can't help you.
Here's the thing. As bad as this movie was, I really enjoyed it. This was my second
Mm-hmm.
time watching it. And even though again there is nothing unpredictable about this movie, it just plays pretty straightforward. It's run of the mill. There is nothing resembling good acting in it, and even Wings Hauser seems like he sub is having a very subdued performance compared to other movies he's in.
Yeah.
He must have been
Yeah.
sober during this one.
But even that too, it's like you could you could tell that he was still the like most talented actor on the set.
Whoa. 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 I think Ginger Lynn is not a bad actor.
I didn't say she was bad. I'm just saying that I think I think Wings is just better.
Wings is talented,
Yeah.
but it was very weird seeing Ginger Lynn as the ingenue, the innocent girl,
Mm-hmm.
even though we saw her boobs aplenty in this film.
Yep.
If this is the kind of movie I wish I saw on VHS back in the day. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know why I didn't, because I had a huge boner for Ginger Lynn.
Yeah, it does not I always try to think back to when our local video store closed. I'm sure it was still open when this came out, but a lot of these movies that I would have expected to see there, I don't remember seeing them.
Well, it's not. It's. I mean, like for me in the early '90s, my taste, while I liked horror movies, it was more into the Hong Kong stuff and comedy. And I would still rent horror movies, but would I say my taste was a little more elevated back then? Yeah. And maybe it's because back then the only time a movie I wanted to watch Ginger Lynn in was one of her adult features.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't think this is a bad movie. I think it was an ill-conceived movie.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Definitely a lot that could have been improved upon. Do you think
yeah,
at the end it would have been better if when Ginger revealed that uh it was actually Sean she believed in the whole time, if Huey Lewis just busted in with the power of love to bring out the credits?
man, that would have just tripled the budget for this movie. But it was a fun movie. I mean, look, I know Rick Sloane. I've talked to him before. Nice guy. He's gone and made some interesting movies like Hobgoblin, which I actually really like Hobgoblins. And I enjoy most of his movies. This one felt like he was in a rush to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was maybe because Ginger Lynn was going to jail and they only had a certain amount of time with her before she had to go, but or that they were filming Vice Academy 3 simultaneously. And to me, out of the two films, that is the better one.
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I just think it is, of my Rick Sloane films, probably one of my least favorite. But I have to ask, how many how many chain smoking divorce cops would you give detectives would you give this movie?
I kind of feel the same way about you. I mean, I felt like it was bad acting, bad plot development, just bad script, a lot of bad in this movie. But for some reason, I was like thoroughly entertained the entire time. And it was probably one of the movies that we've watched that I've had kind of the most fun with, I guess. I'm gonna go 3 chain smoking divorced
Divorce Detective.
detectives.
I will also go 3
Nice.
chain smoking divorce detectives. Again, I thought it was a really fun movie. I
Hmm.
think it was. Um, Here's the thing, and I think this is why I enjoy Culture Shock quite a bit. It reminds me of the movies that Vinegar Syndrome used to release. Like
Mm.
things that I'm familiar, some of them I'm familiar with, some of them I'm not familiar with, that are a lot of fun and cheesy, and just things that are truly enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I think that's why Culture Shock, Agfa, and Fun City are the 3 labels that I will continue, partner labels I will continue supporting on a regular basis.
Hmm. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that while I was watching this, that this kind of felt like a something Vinegar Syndrome would release.
They would have 7 years ago.
Yeah.
But man, we do have to go. I do want to propose our movie for next week. I think we all have it. I think we all love it. And I think we are going to talk about Roadhouse.
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
I'm just joking. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Roadhouse in great detail. We are going to talk about what it takes to be a bouncer.
A cooler. Let's get it. Let's get the technical term
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
The best
And I'm
damn
going to
cooler in the
offer a lot of
business.
Terry Funk facts during the film.
I will warn you that I think we should probably set aside like 4 to 5 hours to talk about this.
Or 90
Min-
minutes.
Minimum.
All right, we will be back. We will be back next week. By the time you see this, we will have all of our episodes uploaded. Right, Matt.
Yep, I've got one rendering right now.
Nice. Our discoveries of the year,
No, that one is up next. Actually, it is Halloween 2.
motherfucker. That was like 7 years ago. All right, we will
Yeah.
see you guys next week. Please don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit like. Don't forget to tell your friends about it, because we want to be the best podcast. We want to be better than Master Chaos, because you know what? We are not bitter, jaded filmmakers. We're just bitter and jaded.
That's true.
And if you want to send Brian Baldwin well wishes, he'll be better by the time this episode comes out. Unless he's dead. By that point, we'll have recorded a memorial episode for him.
Yes.
All right. We'll see you next time.
See ya.